Before we get very far into our next story, we do have a warning for you tonight. What you're about to see and hear may not be suitable for children. Tonight, take a walk in their world.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Transpicuous News. It is February 18th, 2021. It's been a long time since we've done one of these. As I said on the show, on Tuesday, this week on the Unpocket Discussion, I'm going to start doing Transpicuous News again, as much as focusing on the news is emotionally draining. The shit that's going on right now is so crazy that we need to call out some of the bullshit, and not necessarily on the level that a lot of people are seeing it at. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on. I'm not going to be focusing on doing news stories about what's going on in the regular, mostly the politics or stuff like that. I want to focus on some of the stuff where there's a lot of misconceptions, where there are other hypothetical theories that should be looked at before jumping to conclusions. Okay, so let's take a little walk. Let's take a little walk here. Bear with me as I pull up the screen share. I got a couple of doozy stories I want to share with you. First one, are you ready for this? This one literally made my head go kaboom. There's a new teachers program in Oregon about mathematics. How to teach math. We're going to undo racism in mathematics, because mathematics is being taught with a white supremacy culture that's infiltrated the math classroom. You can't make this shit up, okay? So let's scroll through here. The Oregon Department of Education has recently encouraged teachers to register for training that encourages ethnomathematics and argues, amongst other things, that white supremacy manifests itself in the focus on finding the right answer. Part of the toolkit includes ways white supremacy culture allegedly infiltrates math classrooms. Those include the focus on getting the right answer, and students being required to show their work and other alleged manifestations. Now, this is a quote from the creator of this toolkit. Are you ready? The concept of mathematics being purely objective is unequivocally false, and teaching it is even much less so. Upholding the idea that there is always a right and wrong answer perpetuates objectivity as well as fear of open conflict. They're trying to say that mathematics isn't black and white, pardon the pun, and that it's not about finding the right or the wrong answer. Well, Mr. Math Teacher, obviously he's not a math teacher. Mathematics is all about the right or the wrong answer. 2 + 2 = 4, and it always will, and it always has. And we're not talking about quantum physics here, so guys, seriously. 2 + 2 is 4. 4 + 4 is 8. Literally, they're trying to dumb down these students. If you're going to try and turn math into a course where you don't have to show your work, which I don't necessarily disagree with, because some people are very good at intuitively coming to the right answer, and if you force them to actually write it all out, it screws it up. I was one of those people. I did a lot of my math in my head, therefore I had a hard time showing my work. But right and wrong answers, there is a right answer and everything else is wrong. That's math. That's math for you. There is no other way of looking at it. But there's a subtlety in this that is crazy, because they're trying to say that forcing people to find the right answer, forcing people to show their work and do the right answer, is somehow a white supremacist, a white thing, which, dare I say it, is thereby implying that the wrong answers, or not forcing people to find the right answers, is thereby not white, i.e. it's black, it's brown, it's Asian, it's Hispanic, it's something else, which is racist. It's racist. Like, they're basically saying only white people want to find the right answers. They've just made a racist statement against other ethnic minorities. And the shocking part that they actually think they're going to put this in, and they will, that's the scary thing. Hey, Common Core math, it's a thing. They're going to put this out in society, and you're going to end up in another generation having an entire generation of people trained in this who are not going to be able to comprehend a right and wrong answer, who are going to argue for their rights to have the wrong answer instead of doing the work. I don't know about you, but if I'm going to hire an accountant, I want them to know what the right answer is. Otherwise, the tax man is going to put you up in a noose. It's crazy. On the same slide, teacher groups are calling for Shakespeare to be removed from the reading list because it's about white supremacy and colonization. Now, I'm sure anyone of my generation who grew up and he did so much fucking Shakespeare in school, anyone in my generation is possibly going to be, oh, thank God, save my children from Shakespeare. Because I do agree, on a certain level, there are other books that should also be focused on when we talk about English literature. It just shouldn't all be about Shakespeare. But this is classic literature. And when they start removing classic literature, i.e. the things that we've always read and studied in English lit classes, where does it stop? Where does it stop? Calling Shakespeare white supremacy and about colonization is insane. It's crazy. One school just banned To Kill a Mockingbird, which is another classic book. We've all read To Kill a Mockingbird. Well, most of us have read To Kill a Mockingbird in English lit. They removed it, get this, because it made them feel uncomfortable. That's why the book was written. That's the entire premise of the book. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. It is a learning experience. So we've got this push that is going across in the education system. And like, we thought that Common Core was bad, and Common Core is horrific. But now they're upping the game and they're taking it to a new level. And everyone knows I'm very open. I talk about the fact I'm a homeschooling mom. My kids are unschooled. The time is now, folks. Get your kids out of the school system. And right now, while we've got this COVID-19 pandemic going on, everyone has the perfect excuse to do this. Get your kids out of school. If you leave your children in public education, they're going to be screwed. They're going to be screwed. Now, next thing I want to talk about is the one thing that, of course, everyone's been talking about. Everyone has been talking about. And that is what's going on in Texas and several other states, not just Texas. No power. And of course, they're now getting bills, electricity bills that are anywhere from 1,500 times higher to 5,000% increase in the cost of their electricity. And there's a lot of shit coming out here that people, they're blaming electricity companies, and so they should. But there's a lot more going on here. JSNIP put out a really good video earlier today talking about how the markets are regulated and the fact that electricity is a commodity that is traded on the market. Now, where all these power companies and all the news are trying to focus everyone on, oh, the reason all the electricity went down is because of these storms. The storms took down all the electrical grid, just couldn't deal with the surge in power, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, on a certain level, you're going to find that kind of stuff. So, example, if you have windmills are not going to turn in those kind of freezing temperatures. If there's snow covering solar panels, guess what? They're not going to collect solar radiation to turn into energy. Yes, but they're also saying, talking about natural gas pipelines, oil pipelines, everything are freezing up because, of course, there's no electricity to keep them going and the extreme cold temperatures. That is what they're trying to make everyone see. They're trying to make everyone blame the storm, the snow, the freezing temperatures on what's going on with the electrical grid. I have a slightly different opinion. Before we get into that, though, the thing is, it is not the storm, or I should say, let me clarify. It is not just freezing temperatures. It is not just the storm and the snow that has caused the price to increase. The price increased because electricity is traded on the stock market. And if you go, there's a lot of really good articles, a lot of really good videos right now talking about basically it has nothing to do with the electrical grid so much as they're driving up the price of the costs because it's a commodity and they can trade on it. And you have a lot of big name players who put shorts in on the electrical grids. The other piece that I want to point out here, and this is solely my hypothesis. This is not me saying I know what's happened. I'm just, from all the articles I've read, I'm going to hypothesize that this could very well have been one of the major aspects to this. Texas, using Texas as an example, privatized their electrical. All their electric power has been privatized, which means you have all these little companies that have popped up and they're selling you power. Well, the Joe's Electricity, who's selling someone in his town power, they still have to buy the electricity from somewhere else. They are paying for it. A lot of these electrical companies, it's a bit of a gamble. They hope that they can always charge you enough to cover their overhead so they make money on what they're paying for, the electricity. So you have all these rolling blackouts. And we've got people in these areas, some of them have been without power for days. What if the electricity blackouts aren't so much about the bad weather, freezing the lines, et cetera, but because these small companies knew what was about to hit, knew that the prices of electricity were going to skyrocket thousands of %, and if their clients have signed a contract to only pay X amount regardless, you don't want those clients using up the electricity because that company is going to have to pay for it from the big company. So you turn off the grid, you turn off their electricity. So therefore, you are not going to have to pay for this excruciating 5,000%, 3,000%, 1,500% increase from the company that company is buying it from. You just turn off the power. Or You know that those clients of yours who are not tied into a contract, you know that they're not going to be able to pay the electricity bill. You know that when they get handed a $5,000 electricity bill for the month of February, they're not going to be able to pay for it, and they're going to default on the payment. That power company still has to pay for it. So, did they turn off the electricity because they knew people wouldn't be able to afford it and that there would end up being these huge backlash and they would get literally bankrupted because they still have to pay the power providers who they're buying the electricity from, and they knew that no one else would, all the clients that they have on there wouldn't be able to pay those bills? So did they turn off the electricity to cover their assets? Just saying. Just saying. Something to think about. Will we be able to prove something like this? Maybe, because there's going to be a fuck ton of lawsuits coming out of this shit. The other thing I want to point out on this is there's a lot of posts going through social media talking about, oh, this is a fake storm. They created this storm on purpose. This is being done on purpose to deliberately target Texas because it's the Lone Star Republican state. I can get the logic of why people want to come up with these responses because it's easy. It's the go-to. In the alt media, in the conspiracy world, we've been talking about HARP and about chemtrails, and we've been talking about all of these weather manipulative systems that we know they have for years. So it's very easy to jump to the conclusion this is a man-made storm. They did it to us on purpose. And I just want to say that is the easy answer. And that is the go-to that they would like people to come up with. Because the thinking in there, the logic background thoughts in there are that if they created the storm, then they can stop it, i.e., they can control it. This storm didn't just happen in the States. This massive fall of Arctic weather did not just happen in the States. It happened across Canada, who have broken records all over Canada for extreme cold. It happened in England and Scotland and Ireland. It happened in Europe. It happened in Russia. This is not they doing this. This is a natural event that is taking place. But they don't want you to look at that. They don't want people analyzing these events, these Arctic events that are happening. I'm going to just show you here. Hold on. Okay. Historic snowstorms in Greece. And there's some stunning photos of the Acropolis in Greece, covered in snow. Severe snowstorm hits northern Japan. Could be the strongest in years. Okay, we have disruptive snow falling over Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. Now I'll scroll down here to some of the later articles. We have, okay, and not just snow. There are mudslides, floods, unbelievable amounts of geological and weather events happening all over the planet right now. Well, everyone is being very, very distracted by COVID and discussing conspiracy theories about who's causing the bad weather. What bad guys are causing the bad weather? I want to show you guys something. Let me see. I think I've got it here. Oh, we'll get back to that one in just a second. No, hold on. There. Okay. This here is a list of the major earthquakes of magnitude 5.0 or higher between February 10th and 18th. This is not the whole list. This is the list. And I'll put this graphic in the article that'll go with the news story, okay? We have 2 7.0 earthquakes in the last week. One off Honshu, Japan, just off the coast of Fukushima, and another 7.7 in the Loyalty Islands. The Loyalty Islands are just to the east coast of Australia, just north of New Zealand. The Loyalty Islands have been rocking. You can see this. 6.0, 6.0. They just had another 6.0 late last night. Okay, Greece, Iran, Vanuatu, which is in a similar area to the Loyalty Islands, has been rocking nonstop. Well, everyone's distracted with what's going on in stock markets, politics, COVID-19. Don't be distracted. Be aware. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, and which is the image I just started to pull up, going back to Texas again. This was released. This was a post on Facebook by the mayor of Colorado City, Texas. I have no idea what Colorado City is. I don't know how big it is. No idea. Basically, telling everyone in his city to suck it up. This city and this county, along with power providers and any other services, owes you nothing. I am sick and tired of people looking for a damn handout. If you don't have electricity, you step up and come up with a game plan to keep your family warm and safe. If you have no water, you deal without and think outside the box to survive and supply water to your family. Only the strong will survive and the weak will perish. I'll post this because you're going to want to read the whole thing. I honestly was just like, oh, please, someone tell me that this is fake. Please, someone tell me this is fake. Hold on. Let's see, I've got to move everything around. Where are we? Where is it? No, it's not fake. This guy said this, and he's now resigned. Shocking. Here's the sad state of it. I posted this on social media because I wanted to get, I've got a lot of friends in Texas. I wanted someone to say to me, please tell me this is a fake because I can't believe this is real. And the amount of people who literally said, I agree with him, was shocking. Actually, you pay taxes and you pay for water and you pay for electricity, and it is the responsibility of the corporation. Texas as a state is a corporation. These towns in Texas are all corporations. It is a responsibility of the corporation to provide the services that you paid for. This is a sickening state of affairs. Sickening. But it's also a major indicator when people have lost the plot that they actually come out and publicly say stuff like this and think that A, it's okay, and B, that they're going to get away with it. We're seeing a lot of that. It's like the brains of people are on disconnect, and they're all of a sudden just, they're saying things that are just shockingly appalling. With no, it's like the brakes. Do you know we talk the joke about the whole thing, the brakes between your brain and your mouth? The brakes have been turned off, and they're just putting out this stuff out there. Another example of that, okay, in Oregon, oh, sorry, right, wrong one. Here we go. Portland. In Portland, Fred Meyer, which is a major grocery store, lost all electricity. So they put all the perishable foods in the dumpster and then had people guarding, their staff guarding the dumpster to stop people from taking the food. Then they called the police and had the police come and guard and keep people away from the food. Now, the excuse on this is, hold on, here we are. Due to the loss of power at this store, some perishable food was no longer safe for donation to local hunger relief agencies. And our store team became concerned that area residents might consume the food and risk a foodborne illness. So they engaged with law enforcement out of an abundance of caution, and we apologize for the confusion. Sickening. Grocery stores are throwing out food as they would, because they have all of this stuff that they have to do. They've got no electricity to keep freezers running. But to stop people from taking the food is disgusting. Disgusting. And people need to vote with their feet on in situations like this and be like, if this is how Fred Meyers in Portland is going to deal with people, maybe you need to take your business elsewhere. A disgusting look at the corporatocracy and the bullshit. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to share with you today. Just wanted you to think, just a slight moment. Think about some of the stuff that's going on. Don't be easily drawn into the narratives that are trying to sell you a specific idea. Look for the answers yourself. Expand your horizons in what the excuses are and what the stories might be behind this shit. Yeah, because, media lies, and the alt media lies too. And that's it for me. I will talk to you guys again really, really soon. I promise. I'll do this again really soon. Have a good day.
Step isn't the right one. Not too sharp, I got anything left. Look for it at the right time, but it doesn't seem to come. Or do I get distracted by the turbulence?